This is Justyn Stumpy Reifsteck, the promoter of Homegrown Wrestling, and you're listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast.
Hey, yo.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Acknowledge me.
What is going on, everybody out there in Sit Down Markland? Welcome. Come on in. Sit down. It's episode number 156 of the Sit Down Marks podcast. And today, Primo and I are going to bring you a little something different, man, because I know we've been talking to wrestlers here lately. But we're going to talk to a wrestler and promoter today. Primo, you excited for this one, brother?
Yes, sir. I always like when we have these promoters on. They have a different perspective of what goes into the business. I love talking to them, so really excited today.
I want to thank everybody watching on YouTube and Facebook. Thanks for joining us tonight, and thank you for everybody listening on SportzWire Radio, Apple, Spotify, all those podcast platforms out there, including iHeartRadio. We're back on there. Go check us out. So
that's right.
Today, man, it's time to tell the story of Homegrown Wrestling, based out of Illinois. So we're going to bring in the promoter right now and owner. You heard him on the intro there, Stumpy. How's it going, brother? Thanks for joining us today.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for having me again, and let's go ahead and do this one.
Yeah, man, we're excited because, we're getting geared up for a big show on May the 3rd at OB's Cerveceria in Chenoa, Illinois. It's going to be a big show. We're talking about that, but we need to learn a little bit about homegrown wrestling and also Stumpy too here as we get going. So it's a good one, man. So Stumpy, man, how you enjoying the promoter life?
Oh man, it's hectic.
Sure.
It's there's never a down day. Yeah, I love it. At the same time, it's gonna put me in early grave, I think.
Yeah, of all the promoters that I've met and worked with, they all have a common theme, and it's stress. At some point, whether it's show, the day of the show, or leading up to a show, booking, that kind of stuff. So, let's start right at the top, Stumpy. Where are you at in the part of the world, man? Where's Homegrown based out of initially?
I am now based in Chillicothe, Illinois, so just a little north of Peoria. So with Homegrown, there is me, and then there is a small branch up in northern Illinois that is kind of co-ran by Mr. Havens.
Okay.
And we run shows up there in Elizabeth, Illinois, Warren, Illinois, which is Elizabeth is his hometown. I'm from Warren.
Right.
And then we also run up in like the Freeport area. So, that Joe Davies, Stevenson County area at the northern part of the state.
Yes, sir. Northwest, not too far from Wisconsin, up in that area. I think a guy, Bucky Collins, might be from up in that area too. Everybody's familiar with them. So,
yeah.
Growing up, Stumpy, you said you were from that area. Anything cool about the area where you grew up from? Did you go to school with anybody famous? Anybody famous from that area? Tell us a little bit about your high school.
No. Not really. Unfortunately, I guess now, a classmate of mine, if you remember back in 2019 when a couple of those Illinois state troopers got killed right there in the span of like 3 weeks.
I do.
One of them was my classmate, Brooke Jones. So, she was one of my classmates. I guess that's, unfortunately, probably the most known person from my hometown at this point.
All right, we're not going to focus on that then.
Yeah, it's a very small town,
sure.
Very farm people. So,
yeah, for sure. So you said you grew up in that area. Is that where the Stumpy nickname came from? Was it a childhood name, or is that something you developed in wrestling later?
No, that is definitely childhood. That is in the 6th grade. There's actually kind of 2 stories that collide about this.
All right.
So
I want to know.
Oh yeah, yep. So I was, of course, a little jerk in 6th grade. We had a school teacher's aide who had been in a car wreck, had rolled her car like 3 times, and I called her Rolly all year.
Oh boy.
Spring, I was riding my four-wheeler, hit a tree stump, and a tree branch almost took my eye out.
Oh.
So at the same time, she kind of started calling me Stumpy. Me and a couple guys were all like, we should have nicknames that start with an ST. And it was like Stumpy and Stewie. And I don't remember none of the other ones stuck beyond 2 weeks. And now I'm going on 30 years.
That's wonderful.
Wow.
Real quick, I do want to say, you said you grew up in a small town, right?
Yes,
so what would you say? What would you say your small town population was?
1,400.
Okay, that's not bad. So I grew up in a really small town. In fact, small county. We had festivals. We had festivals that make people up here where I live now, they don't believe they're real. Do you have any kind of festivals like we had the Corn Fest? We have the Corn Fest every year. We have a corn spitting contest. You got anything like that over there?
Yes. Pumpkin Fest in Warren. That is Pumpkin Fest. There was a pumpkin chucking contest. I was actually born in Hanover, Illinois. That was the mallard duck capital of the world. That has
nice.
They have Mallard Fest, and there is a mallard calling contest.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
mallard calling, huh?
Yes.
My wife once told me that her uncle once won the cow patty throwing competition.
Yep, I've been to cow tossing competitions.
I've been in cow patty competitions, but it was to see like who could pull the most mushrooms out of them.
I was gonna say that was just for fun, DB.
Right. So, all right, Stumpy. So, wrestling as a kid, man, what'd you see? What blew your mind? What got you into it? What got you watching it?
The story I always tell is the same thing. Is my first memory, just kind of even of like not even wrestling, but of life, is my dad telling me, "Hey, tell mom you don't want to go to church. I want to show you something." And he put on Sunday morning wrestling, and it was Hulk Hogan, and I was hook, line, and sinker.
Heck yeah, you were. Awesome.
Yep. So
love it.
About 88, 89, probably I must have been. So I must have been about 3 or 4, and it was my thing. And then just stuck with it through childhood, through teen, up through the Attitude Era. Then Stone Cold being my guy, and then
sure,
I broke in when I was 17.
17 years old, man. Let's get to that part. So, what made you decide, hey, I'm doing this. Like, I'm gonna be a pro wrestler.
Quit high school as a junior. Just kind of me and school weren't getting along anymore.
Sure.
Me and my parents left the hometown. We moved to Freeport up there next to Rockford, kind of.
Okay. Yep.
And I had always said I was going to be a wrestler. Went to an indie show in Rockford in November of 2002. Wasn't the main event, but the featured match was Gangrel versus a local superstar by the name of what was he calling? What was he going by then? Was he going by Kurt Jensen? But he would go on to go to WWE as Casey James.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes, so they had a match. He was from Belvedere, and leaving there that day, there was a pamphlet for a school. I waited about a month and said, you dropped out of school, you kind of left your hometown, you got nothing going on, and called up Rock and Randy, and the day after Christmas 2002, started training.
Nice. So you jumped into that, you started taking bumps. What sucked about it? What did you like about it?
At first, running the rope sucked because I wasn't bending down, so I was just killing my kidneys.
Sure.
Everything else I loved. I hate that whole cliche of like, oh, the first time I took a bump, I knew I belonged. But it's like, yes, the first time I knew that, I was like, okay, yep, this is going to be my life.
Right. Yeah.
Like, yep, this is real.
Yep.
I kind of think too, like, a lot of people kind of want to feel that first bump. It's like getting that first one out of the way, and you hit one good and flat backed, right? And you're like, all right, I nailed that one. I can do this. Kind of one of those moments. Yeah.
Yep. And just being 17 and stupid.
All right. So 17 and stupid. We left high school, so you're like, all right, I got to make something out of myself. So I'm going to go be, a pro wrestling. Who was the trainers?
My trainer was Rock and Randy Ricci. At that time, it was NAWF. He now runs, I believe it's called Premier Pro out of Rockford. We haven't spoken in 20 years. We had a falling out.
Okay.
At that time, it was mainly Randy, but the people helping him really were Brandon Blaze.
Okay.
A guy named Matt. He wrestled as Arson. Really helped me a lot. First off, Buzz Hall Brad Hunter was kind of there a little bit. Just former Randy students.
Sure, yeah.
And then Kurt a lot. Kurt was there a lot until he moved to Nashville, probably a couple months into my training.
Yeah. So did you have your first match in 2002 or was it next year?
2003. It was actually at a ring rental.
Randy
did a ring rental, and it was I went to just go help.
Yeah.
And the person running the show, maybe not, was of low IQ and didn't have the money.
No, not wrestling. Get out.
So some of the boys on the show, whether they got the money out of him or they came up with it, I don't know. They had the ring rental. We put the ring up, and then Danny Scott and Bailey Mannix, tag team Explicit Content. At this time, Bailey was dating, engaged to, I believe, a female wrestler, Mia Martinez. Walk up to Randy, said, "Hey, Randy, can one of your boys wrestle Mia?" And it was me and another trainee there. The other trainee kind of looked like, I don't know. And I said, "I'll do it." Well, I made the rookie mistake and didn't take my gear with me.
Oh.
So one of our refs had to, actually the ref, he is kind of known. He has a podcast now, I believe. Bitter Marks, the Bitter Marks podcast.
Okay.
He goes to the training facility and comes back with my gear bag just in time for me to pull on a pair of blood red sweatpants, so I look like a 17-year-old fat Abdullah wrestling barefoot. And I wrestled Mia Martinez in my first match.
Nice. Looking like Abdullah the Butcher out there, man. Heck yeah.
Yep, that was my first match, April 13th, 2003.
And obviously, you did not win, right?
I did because
I did
because Explicit Content ran in and did the most overkill double team finish of all time of a Vertebreaker Tombstone combo.
Good Lord.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. So since then, man, like the journey has been long in independent wrestling for you. So how long now?
Just 22 years. What was it? 9 days ago now.
Who's some of the most famous people you've wrestled, or maybe some of the ones on your resume you're most proud of?
Wrestling Gangrel. That was kind of a full circle moment because seeing that match was the moment where I was like, I'm going to do this, and getting to tell him about it.
Sure. Was he cool? Was he like, man, that's awesome, right?
Absolutely. Actually, there's a Gangrel is scared of clowns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Swerve.
Yes.
It's a big swerve. Wow.
Yes. And Yaba was on the show, and Yaba was kind of messing with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In full gear.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
So, and he was just like, "I'll do stuff with you. I'll do stuff with you, but keep that clown away from me."
It freaks him out, man.
So I'm trying to think. Some other people have been in Nick Gage.
Yeah.
Nick Gage Necro.
How was that? He didn't take a pizza cutter to your head.
Yeah. You
did not.
One piece, hopefully.
All right.
Nope.
Be a lot cooler if he did.
Jamie Dundee.
Okay, yeah.
Is an oddball that I've been in the ring with. I'm trying to think of obviously I had wrestled with Mustafa Ali when we were both at NGW in Peoria. Gringo Loco. I wrestled Gringo Loco 20-some years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
20-some years ago. Yeah, that's how long Gringo's been in the game too, huh?
Yep.
Nice.
Just to name a few off the top of my head.
Yeah. So let's talk about your Zawa run as tag team champion. You were in a tag team with Dan the Man, DTM, called the Super Buds, man. And you guys had a pretty good run there, man. I watched a hell of a cage match that you were in when y'all were defending those titles, man. Pretty good run there for you guys.
Yes, sir. Actually, I think we won the belts in the cage match.
That's
Remember
right.
the Joe Davis County Jerks.
Yeah, I believe that was Zawa Fest last year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You were pretty bloody coming out of there.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do to win the titles, don't you?
That's right. You do. So, but what's the most fun you've had in wrestling, man? I know you mostly is from the Dreamwave, run. Talk about that run, as Dixie. How fun was that?
Oh, that was probably some of the funnest times in my life and in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that time, I am just running every weekend with me, Ryan Phoenix, Dan the Man, Scotty Keys is coming around at that time.
Mm-hmm.
In my personal life, that's the time when I'm meeting actually my wife, when me and my wife are getting together. So that was some of the funnest times that I had was at Dreamwave and working with Bobby. I was on Bobby's first show when he came back from North Carolina. And I think his second show, he came up to me and said, any show I ever run, just show up because you're booked.
You gotta love that feeling.
Oh yeah, and and then even with Mason, I've known him for years, and then how we brought in Bucky, and then
the Beck family.
Yes, so that was all fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
I would say those years in general were a lot of fun. Probably because it was almost like I went from IWA and that whatever that run was, and the fun that did come from that, right into almost the Dreamwave time.
Yeah. So, Stumpy, you've been on the scene for a lot of time, or for quite a while. I don't know if you know this or not. I'll throw it out there. When we're talking to a lot of people, I'm talking to independent wrestlers on the podcast and the shows. Your name comes out of their mouth a lot. And it's usually for some way that you've helped them out or encouraged them to do something. Cody Kaiser was just on the pod, last week. He mentioned your name. They kind of helped, jumpstart him, first of all, thank you for doing that, man. It's awesome. To me, that's like the ultimate give back to wrestling. You know what I mean? Like compliments shaping the future. But, what can you say? What can you see out of anybody up and coming? You're a promoter, so you know a lot of do's and don'ts. So anybody that might be listening, what are some things for up and coming wrestlers that can help them get over, can help them get booked, and what should they not do?
The to-dos would be the advice I always give whenever someone sends me a booking email or after I book someone the first time and they're like, I'd like to come back, is the same advice Tom Pritchard gave me when he was with WB is, if you're not bugging me, someone else is.
Right.
So keep in contact.
Be you. Yeah.
Yep. Keep in contact. Keep your face in front of me. So when I need someone last minute or I'm putting together a card, you're fresh on that person's brain.
Right.
Show up, help. You can ask around. If a guy shows up and they're not booked on my shows, but they're busting ass and helping, about 45 minutes before bell time, I will walk up to them and go, got your gear? And you're going to have a match. You might be the opener. You might be the third match. My show back in Peoria, Leon King was not booked, but Leon showed up, helped, and same with Hippie Johnny. And all of a sudden, that's my opener on my biggest show I'd ran at that point.
Yeah.
Because two guys who I liked, and they showed up and helped. The don'ts is don't leave early after a show.
I know there's a long list.
Yeah, just I'm not even big on the shaking of hands, but like, don't make excuses. Don't leave early. Look around, if you can see guys that have been doing it, that were doing this when you were in the chair buying a ticket and they're helping, you should be helping too. Don't always assume just because you're on one show, there's at least two other people on that show who, if they don't book a show, they promote shows, or they're the best friend with someone who does. And bag ass travels fast.
Yes, it does.
And I would tell everyone right now, the promoters are talking.
Yeah,
something happens, and we are talking with each other. Who is it? Who did what? And yeah, it's the best time to be a wrestler if you can just do what's asked of you and keep your nose clean.
All right, Stumpy, one last question, man, before we get to start talking about homegrown. What do you think is your biggest moment in wrestling? You've won titles, you've been in the ring with, guys like Gangrel, what do you think is your Stumpy's biggest moment thus far?
Oh man. The thing that meant the most to me was being able to go back to Warren, my hometown, and run a show and be in the main event. The thing that I think people potentially will look at as like that's the coolest thing I've ever heard of in my life is when I wrestled at the Gathering of the Juggalos for ICP.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So,
are you a Juggalo fan? Are you a ICP fan?
Well, as a millennial from the Midwest, I kind of have to kind of admit that as the teen years there was a time. But
have you bought Fago before?
Oh yeah, like I said, as a fat kid in the Midwest, I just paid $3 for a bottle of Sprite the other day at a Casey's. I'm never buying a bottle of soda again.
Dude, I'm telling you, our daily things are what's really starting to get us. Yeah, you can't get out of a convenience store with a snack and a drink less than $20. Really,
yeah.
Seems like, right? Man, it's wild. It's wild. All right, Stumpy, let's talk about it, man. So we got big show coming up. Pizza, Pints, and Piledrivers, Saturday, May 3rd, 2025. OB's Cerveceria in Chenoa, Illinois. Big show here for Homegrown, man. So describe Homegrown to anybody that may not have been to a show before.
Homegrown wrestling is a comicasm of the wrestling you remember as a kid on TV. It is family friendly. There are characters. Come to have a good time and forget what's going on outside those doors. I hate to say it, a lot of influence from the old Southern style of wrestling of characters with realism, but a little mix of show. I prefer to say I present an entertaining sport over sports entertainment.
Right. I mean, I'm from the South, man. So, so that's the wrestling I grew up on. That's what was on my TV. That's what got me into it. Are you having fun? Like, I know I asked you earlier, about, being a promoter, but, you having fun being a promoter, man. Did you ever really think that, hey, I'd like to own my own company one day? Or is this kind of like something that just kind of came about?
Yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. If I didn't, I wouldn't. If I wasn't, the wife wouldn't allow it, and she would definitely tell me that, hey, you're not having fun with this. You need to quit doing this and quit beating yourself up. I didn't know where it was going to go at first because it started as little fundraisers back home just to raise money. And then one thing led to another. I came across some money, bought a wrestling ring, and said, screw it. I'm going to give it a run. No one's really running Peoria. No one's really running these. The way I look at Homegrown is I want to take wrestling to these small communities like I grew up in.
Yeah.
Where you go down 1,500 people, you get 200 people to show up, you give them the damnedest thing they've seen, and next thing you know, you go back, you get 300. And it's just something local entertainment that people can look at as, hey, that comes to town once or twice a year. It's fun, it's good, and we'll go have a good time.
Yeah. Did anybody encourage you to do this, or anybody kind of like in your corner? I mean, other than your wife, obviously, anybody else help you out with that?
Yeah, I would have to give credit to Zishi, Ryan Zishi of Zawa.
Yeah.
Bobby Houston a lot, kind of being people I bounce eyes off. Havens, Bucky. So the Joe Davis County boys initially start with me, Havens, Bucky, and Tyler Pregel. Those three grew up like best friends, and oddly enough, my school co-opted with them for football. So, yeah, us four just kind of. So those have been my people to lean on. Someone because I booked for a company from about 2010 to 2016 up in Freeport called Frontier Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
So the man behind that, Rich Bonger, me and him kind of co-promote Freeport now. He's been someone that's kind of been real helpful for me. So those guys and just a lot of my friends, close friends in the business, just like, hey man, you got a good vision and you got a good idea on how to do this, and so going for it.
Right. Do you have any kind of like strategy, for the guys and girls that you might book? Is it, you look for a local or new, or or somebody that's just busting their ass because they want to work for you?
A little of everything. A little of people who I'm looking just right here, looking at the flyer. I can go through and tell you each thing. Maurice, actually, speaking of FCW, is a former. He told me he used to come to FCW as a fan, as a young teen, and but he went. He's also trained by Rock and Randy and turned into a heck of a little hand. So I like using Maurice.
Sure.
Mateo, I've met a few times. I like the character.
Right.
Kid Riot and me go back 20 years. Love the character. Mason Grayskull, a Black and Brave trainee. I always would say, unofficially, anyone who comes out of the Black and Brave Academy, I will book you one time. You'll get one match at Homegrown, guaranteed, just because I believe I've known those trainers for 20 years.
Sure.
Lennox Leone and Garrison Creed, two of the bigger guys, name-wise and physically in the Midwest.
Yeah.
That, you put those guys in the flyer and people who aren't even wrestling fans goes, okay, those are pro wrestlers.
For sure. Yeah, you can tell, by the way, their characters and the way they look. So that's cool, man. Like, I like that. So, yeah, as we're talking, there's want to circle back to, for anybody that's just now joining us, we're talking to Stumpy. He is the owner of Homegrown Wrestling. We're getting ready for a big show on May the 3rd in Chenoa, Illinois, called Pizza, Pints, and Piledrivers. And we got a big slew of matches here, Stumpy. Let's talk about John Bonhart and Hans Carden. That's another guy I'm not too familiar with, but looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, John Bonhart is another Black and Brave graduate who I have just had the pleasure of getting to know over the last year or two. Always shows up, works hard, even though sometimes in the ring he can be a little dastardly and dirty.
Sure.
I enjoy having John around. Hans, myself, we have maybe met once. He comes highly recommended from a couple people. So we're bringing him in, putting him in with someone, John Bonhart, whose work I do enjoy.
Yeah, and John definitely a hard worker. And another guy too, man, on the card. If you've been to a match card probably any time in Illinois in the last 10 years, you've probably seen maybe Brubaker on that card. Let's talk about him and Casey Jackson, another up and comer. This is new versus veteran here, definitely.
Absolutely. And I always joke, I have pictures of Nick Brubaker with a similar get up with the makeup that Casey Jackson, that same attitude. Nick was always a little bit bigger than Casey, but this was very much a match that I kind of dreamt up as like Casey kind of reminds me of a young Nick. I've known Nick since, the joke is, because he started coming around with Brett Kakia and CJ.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys even knew there was a third guy, Axis. Who, he quit wrestling. Oh, geez, probably 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
But Nick was just their buddy Swole, because he was just their buddy that showed up and was jacked. And then now Nick has gone on to be who Nick Brubaker is. So, This is a match I'm very looking forward to. Nick been around forever. Casey Jack's been around 3-4 years I know. Also, another one, Black and Brave kid coming out of that same school there up in Davenport.
Yeah. And while we're there, let's stick with another guy I know, a very hard worker, Theseus, on the card, going up against Jay Wesley.
Jay Wesley coming out of Iowa. Heard a lot of good things. Saw some good tape on him. Was putting together the card. And here, right, case in point, we were talking via email when the opportunity for this show came about. And I said, what are you doing May 3rd? Let's bring you over, give you a shot. At this point, I had been already talking with Theseus for this date. Figured we'd put these two together, see what these two young gentlemen can do for our crowd.
Yeah, for sure. So, So if you're familiar with the landscape of Illinois, so the last couple cities you've been to, I want to talk about those. So you've been to Farmington, Wyoming, Peoria, just to name a few. Great towns for wrestling. How was the reception to homegrown wrestling there?
Real good. If you kind of look on the map, those three towns kind of make like a nice little triangle. This was actually our second year in Wyoming. I would kind of say a year ago, the Stark County Showdown in March of 2024 would be like the official real launch of homegrown outside of just a company being ran to run a few shows.
Sure.
So it was really nice going back this year for our second year. Farmington was a nice little town. We actually are going to be moving that business to the next town over this fall, to Elmwood, Illinois, coming this fall.
It's like West Peoria, right?
Well, west of Peoria. Elmwood is right on 74, probably about halfway between Peoria and Galesburg.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. And then Peoria, 3,300, very historic venue. Van Halen played there years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, nice little venue, very good look. We hope to maybe return later this year, if not maybe early next year. Peoria is the goal, but the real true vision of homegrown is to be running these smaller communities, and I'm really enjoying finding some of these towns with these older high school gyms that are just beautiful and no one's using them and putting them to use.
Yeah, I love that idea, man. That's awesome. So if you're just joining us, May the 3rd, Pizza, Pints, and Piledrivers, presented by Homegrown Wrestling and the Sit Down Marks podcast. We're going to be live on Saturday, May the 3rd at OB's Cerveceria. Stumpy, let's talk about them. This is your first stop here at OB's, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, excited for that, man. We got nothing like having wrestling at a place where you can get some awesome food while you're there, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I've heard. I have not had the pizza yet, but I've heard. I believe it's Joe's is the name of the pizza place there, and a lot of people swear up and down by it. So I'm excited to try that night. Hopefully, I'm able to get a little bit as I'm running around like a chicken with the head cut off. Make sure the show's running good.
Right. All right. So you're advertising.
Good thing about pizza, you can just hold in your hand and walk.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, we're gonna try them all too. So, Stumpy, you're advertising main event battle royal, and if you're familiar with the Midwest independent wrestling scene, you're advertising a guy by the name of Hartenbauer on the card. So let's talk about this battle royal main event. I'm excited, man. I love battle royals, man, and I'm fired up for it, man. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we decided this will actually be the first battle royal. We've done Royal Rumbles. We've never done a battle royal in a homegrown show.
Okay.
Decided this would be a heck of a little spot show to pop it out to, see, how the fans enjoy seeing a battle royal. It's something that I think, and I'll say with homegrown wrestling, it's kind of my homage to the tradition and respect of pro wrestling. So I try to do some of the old school things and treat the battle royal like it's something special. So it's not on every show. So when we do have it, we make it the main event and we make it a big deal. So this over the top rope, last man in the ring.
I love battle royals because you know when you're watching them, you're like kind of seeing like, oh, who's that? Like, trying to see around a guy you don't notice at first. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize he was in the ring too. Like battle royals are so fun.
Yeah. And like when the bell rings, it's like automatic action all the way until it's over. And there's so much going on. Yeah. Stumpy, I want to let you know, man, you're getting a little shout out right now on Facebook. A guy by the name of Jim Nugent says that his family loves watching Stumpy wrestle and that he'll have to make it out to one of his shows.
Well, thanks for the love, Jim, and tell your Uncle Ted that he can go fuck himself.
Oh, that was perfect. All right, so Hartenbauer, man, it's big to have him on your show. You got to think maybe he might be one of the favorites in this battle royal. He's a tough guy, man. He's definitely going to be a tough guy to throw out over that top rope. But Stumpy, tell the folks, how can they get a ticket to May the 3rd, Pizza, Pints, and Piledrivers at Homegrown Wrestling?
Real simple. All you gotta do is message the Homegrown Wrestling Facebook page. You'll speak directly to me. All you do is give your name, how many tickets you need. We will take it down. You'll give your name at the door. Your tickets will be waiting in an envelope for you.
There you go. Nice and easy. Simple as that. I want to thank everybody watching right now on YouTube and Facebook. And thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Audible, iHeartRadio, and SportsWire Radio. We want to thank Stumpy for being on the pod today, brother. Thank you so much for being on the pod today. And I forgot to mention, man, there's a guy by the name of DB is going to be back on the microphone. You know, I haven't done too much ring announcing outside of Dreamwave. So looking forward to working with you on May the 3rd, man. And thanks for letting me get back on the mic, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure, sir.
Thank you, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks for being on anytime.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, all right, guys, if you didn't hear me say it, I'm going to say it one more time. May the 3rd, pizza, pints, and pile drivers. Saturday, May the 3rd, Chenoa, Illinois, OB, Cerveceria. Come check us out. Come watch an absolute great promotion and one that you want to support. And, you know, Stumpy's there too. Maybe, you know, he'll say hi and get a picture with you if you're nice to him. Right, Stump?
Yep. If you're nice, and remember, kids, pictures, $5.
There you go.
That's a really good combo. Pizza,
Gotta make
pints,
the
and
money.
pile drivers.
I know, right? Cool Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thing
I
on
love
this
that.
poster too,
Like,
by
I'm
the
a
way,
big fan of
Stump.
that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big shout out to, and I forget the name of my flyer guy up there, my Canadian friend, Jay. Big shout out. He does all my flyers now. Little known thing, a little maybe known thing now we would know about Homegrown Flyers. All our flyers are based off of an old classic wrestling flyer that I found.
Nice.
So
yeah, we were actually looking at that pre-pod, and I go, Stumpy's old school. I can tell by looking at his posters just by the way they're laid out. They're laid in that old school, like, you know, special attraction matches, you know, the pictures of the people going against each other on there. I love it, man. Don't stop doing that. So I appreciate it. I want to thank you too, Stumpy, for letting the sit down marks come out and sponsor the show. Make sure you guys come out. I'm going to be there. I'm going to have all the podcast merch. I'm going to have all the free merch. So make sure you come by, get some free stuff. I got stickers. I got pins. I got buttons. I got all kind of free shit. So make sure you come and check it out. It's going to be a big show. Once again, May the 3rd, Chenoa, Illinois, Homegrown Wrestling presents Pizza, Pints, and Pile Drivers. Stumpy, thanks for coming on, brother. We'll see you around the way.
see ya.
Top guys, and we are out.
Out.